You remember the exact second the world stopped making sense, don't you? It wasn't just a secret coming out, it was the floor falling out from under your feet. Suddenly, every memory you owned felt like it had been rewritten in a language you don't speak. That's the first psychological hit, the total disintegration of your personal reality. You start looking back at pictures from 6 months ago and wondering, was it a lie then, too? Your brain becomes a detective, obsessively looking for clues you might have missed. You weren't being crazy. You're trying to reconcile the person you loved with the person who did this. It's a form of trauma that hits the same part of the brain as physical pain. You might feel a literal ache in your chest or a coldness that won't go away. The hook is that you're stuck in a loop, replaying the discovery over and over again. You find yourself checking their location or their followers, even though you know it hurts. It's an attempt to regain control in a situation where you feel completely powerless. Most people think being cheated on is just about sadness, but it's actually about disorientation. You lose your North Star, and suddenly you don't know who to trust, including yourself. You ask, how could I have been so blind? But the truth is, you weren't blind. You were just brave enough to trust someone, and that trust was used against you. If you feel like you're losing your mind, stick with me for a minute, because understanding why your brain is doing this is the first step to making it stop. This isn't just a breakup, it's a psychological earthquake that requires a new blueprint. Let's talk about the specific ways this betrayal changes the way you see the world. Then comes the comparison trap, the cruelest part of the psychological fallout. You start measuring yourself against a stranger, looking for what they have that you don't. You wonder if they're funnier or more exciting, or if you simply weren't enough. But here is the psychological truth. Cheating is never about the partner's inadequacy. It's a profound reflection of the cheater's inability to handle their own internal voids. Yet your brain doesn't care about logic right now. It cares about the sting of rejection. You might find yourself becoming a chameleon, trying to change your look or your vibe. You think if you become perfect, you'll be safe from ever being hurt like this again. But that's a lie betrayal tells you, that your safety depends on your performance. This leads to a hyper-vigilance that makes every text or late night feel like a threat. You're waiting for the next drop, even when things are quiet and calm. It's like living in a house where the alarm is constantly going off for no reason. You feel exhausted by your own suspicion, but you're too scared to turn the alarm off. This is called betrayal trauma, and it can actually change your nervous system. You stop being present in your life because you're too busy scanning the horizon for lies. You feel like you've lost your spark, replaced by a heavy, cynical version of yourself. It's lonely because you feel like no one truly understands the depth of this hollow feeling. You're mourning the person you used to be before you knew people could be this cruel. But that version of you isn't gone. They're just buried under a mountain of shock. We need to talk about how to start digging that person back out, one piece at a time. The hardest thing to carry forward is what I call the trust tax. Even with new people, you find yourself looking for the catch before you even say hello. You've learned that the people closest to you are the ones with the most power to destroy you. So you build walls, high, thick ones made of sarcasm and emotional distance. You think, if I don't let anyone in, I never have to feel that floor disappear again. But those walls don't just keep the pain out, they keep the connection out too. Psychologically, you're stuck in a state of anxious attachment, even if you were secure before. You need constant reassurance, yet you don't believe it when you actually get it. It's a frustrating cycle that makes you feel like you're broken or damaged goods. But you aren't damaged, you're just responding to a major breach of your safety. Think about the way you overanalyze every small shift in someone's tone of voice. That's your brain trying to protect you from a threat it thinks is still in the room. It's an echo of a past trauma that hasn't been given the space to properly heal. When you realize that, the betrayal loop starts to lose its grip on your future. You start to see that their choices were a them problem, not a you problem. Imagine a day when you don't check their social media or wonder who they're with. Imagine a day where you trust your own intuition again, without second-guessing every thought. It sounds like a dream right now, but it's the natural result of processing the shock. You aren't weak for hurting this much. You're human for loving that deeply. And the depth of your pain is actually a testament to the depth of your capacity to care. So where do you go from here in the middle of all this psychological rubble? You start by reclaiming your own story, one that isn't defined by someone else's exit. Stop trying to fix the person who hurt you. You can't heal the hand that bit you. Turn that detective energy inward, not to find faults, but to find your own needs. Pick just one thing today that makes you feel like you again, separate from the relationship. Maybe it's a song they hated, a hobby you dropped, or a friend you haven't seen. When you feel that urge to spiral, take one deep breath and name the feeling. Say, I am feeling triggered right now, and that is a normal response to an abnormal event. That small moment of mindfulness is like a circuit breaker for your racing thoughts. Healing isn't about forgetting what happened, it's about it no longer being the main character. You'll have good days and backslide days, and that's part of the spiral upward. Each time you choose your own peace over a score-settling thought, you're winning. You'll start to realize that your worth was never on the table for them to take. The weight you've been carrying, you're allowed to put it down whenever you're ready. You've spent enough time being a victim of their choices. It's time to be the author of yours. If this resonated with you, it's because your soul is ready to stop being defined by betrayal. Share this with someone who is currently in the shattering phase. They need to hear it. We're all just trying to figure out how to be whole in a world that can be heartless. You are so much more than what was done to you, and your future is still yours to write. Tomorrow is a brand new scene, and this time you get to decide who stays in the frame.